There are two variables to life, the first of which is self, and then the other is relationship. Both of these can work in tandem, but they can also work in opposites. So we can think about the spoon stirring around what it needs to stir around in order for us to have what we desire. But we have to balance out ourself, our needs, wants, and desires with our need for cooperation and collaboration in the people that we're sharing our life with. These two areas of life gets a hidden culmination as we have a full moon in Aries happening on October 17th that is clearly steering us toward relationship and harmony because the sun is in Libra and the moon is in Aries. If the sun was in Aries and the moon was in Libra, the focus would be more on ourselves, and our sovereign selves. But now it's about relationship because when it's talking about full moons, it's talking about releasing what the negative qualities of the sign is, whatever the sign the moon is in. And we're aiming towards the sign that the sun is in. So that's sort of the general focus, but we're really balancing out Libra, which is very codependent, and Aries, which is very dependent. Now we're talking about co-independence. That's the sweet spot between these two signs. So the very, very first thing that I want to talk about is an aspect happening on the 15th of October, which is today, and that is the planet of love and relationships is coming into a trine with the planet of spirituality and illusions. So Venus is trine Neptune. So when Venus is trine Neptune, this is good for anything creative, anything that is worthwhile, and anything that you can create using your right brain. Music, painting, poetry, dancing, sculpting, whatever it is that is in the creative field, this is wonderful to do at this time. This is also great for being with those you love and connecting with them on a deep soul level. This is where this can really, really thrive. This influence can really, really bring us a lot of harbingers of good things. This is also good for emotional healing as well. This is good for romance and relaxation, spending more time with your romantic partners and developing more romantic connections with the people in your life, if those people fit those roles. Compassion and desire to serve others is what is heightened at this time. So there is a very, very strong need to be compassionate and need to make a difference in the world in some selfless kind of way. Being of selfless service is a hallmark of this particular transit. We're finding that we're more tender, that we're more genuine, that we're more unique, that we're more sort of connected to the person on a very, very deep level, where we want to be tender, where we want to be emotionally open and loving about our feelings. This is good for connecting with somebody on a spiritual level through a spiritual lens as well. This is good for watching movies because when you're watching movies, it looks so real, yet it's not real at all. It's an escape from the world. You're getting sucked in and engulfed in a particular situation, certain customs, certain events happening. And when I say customs, I don't mean like traditions of society. I mean a certain set of circumstances that make something the way it is, and you have a name for it. Um, Customs are based off of weather, they can be based off of food, they can be based off of smells, certain people, and what they remind you of. So customs are really anything and everything. And so that's how I define customs. So you're getting engulfed into these kind of things, and you're getting engulfed in the entertainment industry as well. The entertainment industry, the film industry, these two things can be very prosperous at this time. This is good for helping those less fortunate than yourself. That's the high road of this transit. And this is good for any kind of romantic relationship. And I want to move on to the astrology of what this video covers, which is October 16th and 17th. Let's begin by discussing the astrology of October 16th. The very first thing going on is that we have the moon coming into a conjunction with the North Node in Aries. So the moon is at 6 degrees of Aries, the North Node is at 6 degrees of Aries. So it's moving back and it will move into Pisces in January 2025, which is my most favorite transit of 2025, is the nodes moving into Pisces and Virgo. I'm really looking forward to that. So this Moon conjunct North Node transit brings about heightened intuition. It can bring about intuition and issues of life that are different than the ones that you're currently living. It can bring about these different kind of circumstances. And so intuition is showing you the direction that you are meant to head to, that you're meant to head on. Your intuition, your inner guidance system, is pointing the way where you're meant to go, which direction that you're meant to head, which path that you're meant to go on. Are you willing to listen and follow your intuition, or are you going to completely just put it aside and push it down? This is good for fulfilling our highest potential as well. This is also good for following our instincts and intuition. Now, whatever is part of your highest good, now is the time to go for it. Do whatever is in alignment with your highest path, with your highest journey point, with your highest good. Now is the time to go in that direction. You may be having confrontations with your family of origin or ancestral wounds and healing. You may be healing these wounds from family lineages. You may be healing past wounds of the past. You may be coming head to head with your ancestral wounds and your families of origins. These matters of life may be sort of stirring in your unconscious where you need to address them. And so healing karmic or emotional wounds is also great for doing that. And maybe you're reflecting on your childhood or family relations and certain memories, be it just active live memories or pasty memories, which is memories that deal with you cooking in the kitchen with your family. Whatever the memories are, you are reflecting back on them at this time. You're looking back on these memories to find valuable answers and valuable information. And you can find a lot of value in these memories when you look back upon them. And so your mind may take off, your imagination may soar. So you're looking at your imagination, you're opening up your imagination to new realms. This can also represent a sharpening of psychic sensitivities that you may find at this time. You want to tap into your intuition at this time. It's very important. And so you may work in large crowds. Working and being in large crowds can be very favorable at this time. Your inner values may align with trends in the modern realm of society. So your inner values may align with the trends in modern realms of society. Very important to consider. And so this is important to align your deep emotions with your deeper unconscious as well. You want to stay on the right path and don't be influenced by intense feelings or irrational fears. Have your strong path and your desired path of your goals that you want to achieve and go in that direction and put aside your feelings in productive ways without pushing them down. Acknowledge them, but then choose to go on that path of destiny. Trust your intuition to guide you towards the fulfillment of your life's purpose. Another question to ask yourself is how can you utilize your imagination and stable mind to connect with others on a deeper level? This is about connecting with other people on deeper levels. This is also good for aligning your feelings with your aspirations and going after them with gusto as well. And the moon is going to form an opposition with Lilith. So when the moon forms an opposition with Lilith, we have unconscious anger that may trigger your emotional reactions. You may be feeling very angry, frustrated, or just annoyed at a certain issue. And it's important to sit back and integrate these feelings and just accept the feelings as they are and make sure that you make your unconscious anger conscious anger. It's important to bring consciousness to your feelings because if you don't do that, they'll always be in the shadows and you'll continually be cutting off the snake heads that come back at you. So it's important to acknowledge your strong emotions um, and then choose to do the next right action towards them. And if you have oracle cards, they will help you reveal what is the next right action. How should I approach the intense emotions that I'm feeling? And so these things may compel your actions. These very, very strong feelings, these unconscious feelings, this strong feeling of frustration and anger may compel your actions, may affect your actions. And so your emotions may rule over your decisions as well. So there may be inaccurate assumptions ruling your instincts as well. You may assume things that are not true and then you may act on instinct because of it. So be mindful of that you're not doing that. You may feel the need to react impulsively based off of your emotional feelings. And your moods may be more intense at this time. Now, I did pull an oracle card for this particular day, and I chose to use the Sacred Traveler's Oracle by Denise Lynn. I know in the last video I promised that I was going to be using a new oracle deck, but it hasn't come yet, and I really want to film this video before October 16th when it's supposed to come. So on the next video, I will be using the Mystical Healing Oracle, so you can look forward to that. So, the Oracle deck I chose to use was the Sacred Traveler's Oracle. And the card that I pulled for this particular day, where I asked the question, shuffle the cards, what does the collective need to know for October 16th? And the card that I chose, the card that I pulled, is the card Stepping into Power. Stepping into Power. You are strong beyond measure, it says. So I hope that you can see it holistically. If I just put it back enough where you can see it. So this card entails, it's about standing strong in your power. It's being in your power, being calm, being centered, being grounded in your power, being a warrior as well, being sovereign in your power, not being afraid to stand true in your power and be assertive, assert yourself, express yourself, and put your needs and wants out into the world first and foremost. Know that you carry light qualities with you that are unique and embrace these qualities of yourself. So this is good to embrace all unique qualities and be free to express these qualities out into the world. This is the time to take back your power. This is also the time to stand up for yourself as well. And release whatever limitations that are holding you back from being your authentic self. And so you no longer need to live your life for others. If you've been people pleasing, if you've been living your life for other people, now is the time to be sovereign. Now is the time to put your needs, your wants, and your values first and foremost as top of the list, top of the gamut. And um, to to live your life, be true to yourself, live a life according to your own values and rules and regulations. So, your greatest power is silent and deep. That's also something to remember here. This is about reclaiming your authority, um, and really putting yourself first in healthy ways. So reclaiming your authority, if you've been giving it away to other things, if you've been giving away to external things such as people in power, such as other people in your life, now is the time for the people in your life to learn that you need to respect yourself, that you need to have a strong sense of self-respect, that you need to put your values first, and then they can deal with it in their own ways. they will find a way to deal with it if you're not attending to their needs. I promise. Um, Even if it has to be hard, even if it has to be uncomfortable, now is the time to stand firm in yourself and your values. So this is about reclaiming your authority, standing in your truth and releasing your limitations. Know that you have tremendous power. Now's the time to activate that power within you. Now, October 17th is a big day because we have two events happening. We have the full moon in Aries and Venus is changing signs, moving out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. But before Venus moves into Sagittarius, at the 29th degree of Scorpio, she sextiles Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn. So Pluto is doing this dance, or it's wrapping up its day in Capricorn. It's going to move into Aquarius fully November 19th of this year, and it will stay there for 20 years before moving into Pisces around 2045 when it makes the big shift into that sign. And but what Venus in a sextile with Pluto can bring, especially in Scorpio and Capricorn, the two power signs of the zodiac, this can be deepening your love in an intense way, on an intense level. This can be empowering your relationships. It's also important not to manipulate or control others or be manipulated and controlled by other people. You may find that you have obsession with the people in your relationships. You may be obsessed with the people in your relationships. You may be unable to get them out of your mind as well. So that may be sort of um, an effect of this transit. And so you may be experiencing love and relationships at a more feeling level as well, since Pluto is a deeply feeling planet. It's one of the water planets in astrology. So, this is about evolving relationships to a more spiritual level, making your relationships more spiritual in a kind of way, and doing the necessary relationship shadow work that you have to do. So, privacy may be more concerning at this particular time. So, you may place higher value on your privacy, on your resources not getting taken or stolen, on your passwords being kept, on your Googles and YouTubes being private. So, whatever the privacy is, you want to live in a cave, for instance, whatever the privacy is, you want to keep things private at this time. This is also a good time to discover the true feelings of another person. That may be super duper important for you at this particular time. Um, so then we have the moon coming to a sextile with Jupiter. So now we're more when the moon forms a sextile aspect with Jupiter, the moon and Jupiter are having sex, if you will. They're harmonizing and working very, very well together. So when the moon is sextile with Jupiter, the planet of expansion and abundance and higher education, higher learning, we're more in tune with others' emotional needs at this particular time. Our intuition may be activated. We may have a stronger ability to use our perceptive skills to benefit communities as well. So that is a positive aspect of this time. Um, and so we may find that we have solutions for underprivileged people and oppressed communities to help them out. We may possess a lot of nurturing qualities at this time. And so our generosity may be going beyond our means. We may be extending it out, being very generous, being very forward thought thinking, being very giving, and we're over promising, we're over giving, we're overdoing. This is, very Jupiterian qualities. We may possess a warm glow that fosters deeper connections with others. This is a good time to have compassion for yourself and others. You may find that you have an increase in empathy for others and yourself as well. So it's important to not ignore signs that you may be tired, that you may be worn out, that you're giving too much. So it's important to acknowledge these feelings of tiredness and weakness and fatigue if you happen to feel them. And so you may have your own experiences and how they shape your perspectives because your experiences in life easily can shape your perspectives over life. Um, and so it's important to be mindful of how your experiences are shaping your perspectives. So, it's also important to stay practical and grounded at this time and realistic as much as you can. It's important to balance your aspirations to your current reality. That becomes paramount right now. So, um, yeah, that becomes important. Compassion for yourself is just as important as your compassion for other people. So that becomes very, very important to have compassion for others and yourself. There's an overall sense of well-being with this transit. This is also good for joining in and engaging in group activities. Now we have the moon coming to a square with Mars. So when the moon is square Mars, we can avoid being hurt or causing harm. That is very, very important at this time, is avoiding being hurt and avoiding causing harm. Certain things can make you short-tempered if you're not careful. So be mindful of getting short-tempered at this time. You may find that you have irritation towards certain things, annoyance towards certain things. There's a very, very strong need here to act on impulse as well. And so you may avoid being defensive. You may be avoid acting on the defense and overly mean when others share their hurt feelings with you. So it's important not to be defensive and hurtful and when others share their feelings with you, especially if they're vulnerable, tender feelings. It's important to also release your feelings in a constructive, controlled manner, not in a destructive, reactive manner, but in a controlled way, in any way that you can to do that. It's important to also be courageous as well, and do not confuse intuition with impulsivity. This is good for releasing pent-up frustrations through physical work. It's good also to avoid tension and frustrations, avoid getting frustrated, avoid getting into the tense arenas of life, and whatever you can through physical work. However you can release your frustrations. Is it walking? Is it running? Is it boxing? Is it jogging? Whatever it is. There may be the fact that underlying frustration and tensions may surface for you at this time. So that's maybe another aspect of this time. It's important to be assertive but not aggressive. That's huge. Insecurities may be threats in relationships. So it's important to acknowledge that you may have insecurities and they may serve as threats in your relationship. So it's important to release your insecurities and not let them dominate your relationship. It's important not to manipulate others at this time. Now, Venus is going to move into Sagittarius. So this is a more super exciting and thrilling time when Venus, the planet of love and relationship, moves into the sign of Sagittarius. And it stays in the sign of Sagittarius until November 11th when it moves into Capricorn. So we have a more exuberance for our life at this time. Um, we can have more truth, chance, and inspiration. We can make investments well. We can look on the brighter side of situations because Sagittarius is a very upbeat, positive, philosophical energy. It's about looking at the bright side, the higher side of situations. The more optimistic point of view, we can also be optimistic about financial planning. This is important to set limits and boundaries for your need for expansion, not going out the carnal thingle, not spewing it out all over the place without having boundaries. There has to be limits to your freedom, limits to your expansion. It's important to allow yourself to expand, but also put necessary boundaries. That way you're not just going off the diggle and overdoing yourself entirely. So it's important to be extremely generous to help those in need as well. People with Venus and Sagittarius make money and use it at best. Saving is not their speciality. So it's very, very important to focus on the here and now, not necessarily in the future. So being present with your life, focusing on the here and now in the present moment, that becomes important. You may feel the need to spend money on travel and higher education also. And so saving money, as I said before, is very difficult for people with Venus and Sagittarius. Rather than working on relationships, Venus and Sagittarius focuses on who wants to be in relationship with and on easy relationships. So who really deserves this? Who really desires this? Who really is very good at relating to us? We want to be with those people that are serious about relationships with us and also the people and also easy relationships as well. It's important to be real in our relationships. It's also important to lean into our desires. And so Sagittarius's love is more universal and broad, stroked, as well. And so we may have a blunt approach to love as well. Truth and higher meaning becomes very important to see the truth and see the higher meaning of things. Being more open about your feelings is very, very important this time. Being more expressive and honest about what it is that you're feeling as well is important. Um, this is good for spontaneously enjoying ourselves, going on adventures, being very spontaneous, and throwing ourselves into pleasures and topics that we're interested in as well. Now, the full moon is in Aries on October 17th. So this becomes very important that we focus on ourselves and our sole purpose. We also need to let go of habits, certain situations or relationships that block us from being our true selves. So we need to evaluate what we want and desire to fight for in our life, to really to advocate for, to assert ourselves for. This is the time to go after what you desire. Um, this is the time to take action in your life and overcome any challenges that stand in your way, because Aries loves challenges. We need to also fulfill our soul's purpose as well. Are you fighting your soul's calling or ignoring it? Are you following your soul's calling or pushing it down, shoving it down? Frustration and anger may come about at this time. Are you waging more war for yourself? That becomes very, very important to acknowledge. You may feel anger and find where it originates from. So it's important to feel your anger, to integrate your anger, and to determine where in your body it originates from. A life that leaves no room for anger. Recognizing your passions if you lost them. It's important to reignite your passions. What are you passionate about? What do you feel so strongly about that you want to pursue? Now's the time to go after that. The sun in Libra is ruled by Venus. Being our soul selves while enjoying life with another becomes very, very, very important at this particular time. So, this becomes huge. Uh, so being ourselves while enjoying life with another, following our soul's calling, and also, in having our relationships, having our partnerships, our relationships with ourselves. Aries fights in assertive ways. Libra fights in peaceful ways. Libra uses peaceful communications as well. Libra is the peaceful warrior, if you will, fights for peace, it fights for balance, it fights for equilibrium, and Aries fights for what it wants and asserts itself in certain ways. Libra asks us to consider all sides of an issue, but that hinders the desire for change when we all pioneer ourselves. So it's important to look at all sides of an issue before we reach our conclusions at this time. Um, so we See, courage, determination, and drive. It's very, very important to have these three things in the making for us at this time. We may become self-focused at the right time. Supporting our soul even when it's not the right decision is positive. The light workers' time to shine. This is their time to shine. Starting battles just for the sake of fighting is not advised here. Having a narrow focused vision, not seeing it from another's point of view, we lose compromising areas, low roads. So that is what that is. Um, we're fighting for the sake of fighting. We have a narrow focused vision, and we're not choosing to be open to see it from another point of view. We can find that we have unbalanced relationships and solitude, the result of Aries low road, when we need to follow our soul, but also to have healthy partnerships. It's very important to balance these two things out. Balance our need to follow our soul, the need to assert ourselves, our need to live a life for ourselves, and also to have healthy partnerships. We may come indecisive at the low side of Libra energy. We may fall into codependency and lose ourselves to another. We may lose our individuality. We may lose our sovereignty for ourselves if we get caught in the whirlwind of Libra energy. We need to trust our gut and go with it. We need to have the courage to step forward. We need to have the desire to defy our authority. Now, the final aspect going on is that we have the moon coming to a square with Pluto. So the moon in the sign of Aries at 29 degrees is squaring Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So this can result in constructive, compulsive, and destructive behavior that we can emit. It's important to get emotions out of your subconscious, deeply buried shadows, emotions, shadow content, really expressing that out. That can be very, very healing for us at this time. We need to be mindful of emotional power struggles with family or with partners. We need to be mindful of that we're not emitting power struggles with these types of people. We need to be mindful that we're not abrupt and ruthless. Jealousy, manipulation, guilt tripping, or domestic violence may be casualties of this. This is also good for limiting bad habits that don't serve us, addictive tendencies. Sitting and integrating difficult emotions is really, really called for here. And uncontrolled impulses leading to self-destructive behaviors. That becomes super important that we acknowledge these uncontrolled impulses and how they're leading to such self-destructive behaviors. Now, the card that I chose for this particular day, for October 17th, from the Sacred Traveler Oracle, is the card Infinite Abundance. Abundance is pouring into your life. So this card is a reminder that you are so abundant with the resources of your life. You are very, very abundant. You have so much in your life that is present with you, and so much that is coming in your life, even if you see the tainted version of it. Even if you're not seeing the abundance in your life, you do have a lot of abundance in your life. So know that and trust that. And so much abundance will also come into your life. You have food and so much more to be thankful for in your life. So it's time to acknowledge the things that you have to be grateful for. It's important to be open to receiving the blessings in your life as everything blossoms at this particular time. So be open to receiving the blessings um, in your life, to receiving the gifts that life has to offer. This is a time of harvest as well, and you deserve the abundance that's coming to you. That's what this is about. Um, and so the more you give to other people, to other entities of beings, the more you receive back. When you give, you also receive back the value of giving. So it's better to give than receive. And this is about feeling good about what you already truly have in your life. That becomes important at that time. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that this video is helpful and interesting to you. And if you think that it is, click the like button and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss future uploads from me. Bye, everybody.